Hello, everybody, and welcome. And D, everything all right over there? D? Oh my God, D!
What?
Oh, oh, oh! Thank God, you
I'm
scared,
I'm sorry, what?
you scared me there. I thought you'd become part of the undead.
What would make you think that?
Oh God. Okay. Well, let's get back to it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Blood and Popcorn. I am TJ Rotell, and with me, as always, are my horror co-hosts, the Demogorgon, Denise Pantoja, and our old friend, the odd movie master himself, Mr. Glenn Akers. Denise, Glenn, how are you both this evening? How are we
Very
doing
good.
tonight?
I'm feeling great. How about
Yeah,
you?
I feel fantastic. I just had to lower my mic a little bit because I was probably clipping, but yeah, feeling great. We just got done watching the 1978 George A. Romero fucking masterpiece, Dawn of the Dead. And I know Denise and Glenn, you two share a deep love of this film, as do I. Definitely up there in the tops for all of us. So really excited to dive into this and the 2004 Snyderverse cut, the remake of Dawn of the Dead, written by James Gunn and directed by Zack Snyder. Guys, it's Blood and Popcorn. It's Friday night, and let's dive into it. Dawn of the Dead double feature. Happy July the Living Dead to everybody at home, celebrating the life and times and amazing zombie catalog of the dearly departed George A. Romero. Yeah, a little bit different tonight, having a little more fun, just letting the hair down, letting loose. Denise, you dressed up for the occasion, which I think is fantastic.
I did.
Because that you bear a fair representation to the zombies in the movie we just watched in the 1978 version.
That's right.
Glenn, and I know this is a tough call, but
Oh, how dare you?
but
I know it's wrong.
between the two types of zombies, the grayed out, like bluish gray 78 zombies, or like the ultra gore, ultra violent 2004 zombies, where's your heart take you?
Ooh, man, that's tough. I mean, I do love gore. Uh, uh, so I do have a very deep love for the newer, faster, gooier,
Mm-hmm.
grosser zombies. But I grew up and first started seeing zombie movies, the old shambling gray, blue, green, whatever the hell color they are. I don't know. I'm colorblind.
Colorblind movie master was taken on Instagram. That's why he
You're
went with
right.
odd movie master.
Yeah. Decided to go with the shorter one because everybody likes shorter names.
That they do.
I think I have to go with the older version, and that's probably just nostalgia talking.
Mhm.
I think that's a fair barometer, though. Denise, what about you?
Now, are we talking like makeup wise or just the general aesthetic of the zombie,
I
the
think all
idea?
around, keep it top level. How do you like your zombies? In your Dawn of the Dead, do you like them from Snyder? Do you like them from Savini? What do you think?
Um,
There's a fly.
That makes it even
Fly.
harder.
um, I like the Romero verse zombies the best in general.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's everyone's fair, fine to say. No one's gonna get in trouble. No one's
Is
gonna.
it okay?
Yeah, no one's gonna get in trouble for liking the Romero zombies. I love the Romero zombies. Everyone loves Romero
No,
zombies.
I know nobody. I'm not scared.
So, which do you like better?
Denise is afraid that she's gonna get a T-shirt that says Denise hates Tom Savini.
What? Oh, that's never gonna happen. Okay. Don't be
Coming
ridiculous.
soon to the Channel 29 merch store. Yeah, I mean, I'm old school as well. Like those zombies are iconic to me. That's how they look. That's how I did a few of us up one weekend when Shaun of the Dead came out, we went down to the 3rd Street Promenade, us and a couple friends. We all dressed up like zombies and won like cricket paddles and hats and shit. And
that's because they said dress up.
Dress up,
and we
yeah.
have
There'll be
special
like
prizes.
giveaways.
We were the only ones to get literally the only ones in the entire theater who were dressed up.
Yeah, we got all the prizes. They literally gave us everything afterwards, all of it.
Was it Santa Monica?
Yeah.
Yeah, they felt so bad because we didn't win anything. They had like tickets and stuff like that, and they were giving stuff away. And then at the end, they were like, "Thank you so much for dressing up. You were the only ones. We felt so bad. You didn't win anything." So they gave us. I have a small cricket paddle. TJ has a larger cricket paddle, and then our friend Eric got something too. And then we have like beanies that say
like shirts.
Aim for the head. Did we get shirts? We did.
Yeah, because mine had a hole in the center of it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That was a blast.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
It was
Speaking
great.
of a blast, hello everybody in chat this evening. I see we've got some friends in chat. Estonian Knight, Momo, how are you? Epic, how you doing, Epic? How's everybody doing this evening? Happy July of the Living Dead to you all.
Can you even see this? Do I need to turn that light off? I want you to see my gray makeup.
I mean, you definitely look not
look
like yourself. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bumped up the colors on my screen, so I didn't look exactly like you in makeup. Very pale in real life.
Oh man, that's good. Well, like we're doing for the month, this isn't your typical fill your bucket with points system. We're just hanging out, just 3 friends who love the same thing, gushing on it and crushing on it. And yeah, so I mean, it's dope. Like Dawn of the Dead, 1978, consumerism on screen, laid bare for the world. And Glenn, you told us a story earlier about did you tell that story about the mall tour that Romero got?
That was Denise.
Denise, you told us that story. Tell us that story again so that the folks at home can hear it.
Okay, so I guess first off, there are 2 documentaries that I highly recommend you watch if you are a fan of George Romero, if you're a fan of Tom Savini. So I think we mentioned Tom Savini's documentary last week, and it's called Smoke and Mirrors, the story of Tom Savini. And he does touch a lot on his experiences with George Romero and doing Dawn of the Dead and directing the remake of Night of the Living Dead. And then this other one that I found, and Glenn thinks it might be one of the special features on some of the special edition DVDs that he has. But it is called The Dead Will Walk, and it's by Perry Martin. And it's really great. It's about Dawn of the Dead. And George Romero was talking about the fact that cat freaked out.
Oh, man.
Cat freaked out.
Cat scared of your makeup.
No, she didn't. So Night of the Living Dead wasn't an immediate success. It garnered much more success overseas, and France actually, it really hit big in France. And then when that started happening, people took notice and started doing midnight showings of Night of the Living Dead here. Well, Hollywood came a-calling and said, "Hey, do you want to do a sequel?" And he was like, "I don't know." He didn't want to get typecast. And then he was taking a tour of the Monroeville Mall, which was one of the first indoor malls, and it's huge. One of the first indoor malls in the country. He had friends who owned it. They took a tour, and his friend was like, "You have everything here, you know? You could survive a nuclear apocalypse." And that got him thinking, and he was like, "Well, what about a zombie apocalypse?" So that got his wheels turning about the sequel. And around that same time, Dario Argento called him and said, "Hey, I'm looking to do a zombie thing. If you're ready to do another zombie thing,"
he said,
let's
"Hey,
do it."
I'm looking to do a zombie thing."
100%. So Dario Argento,
Giorgio, it's me, Dario. Buonasera.
I hadn't noticed when I was younger that it was like Dario Argento Presents, and I didn't quite understand why that was, but he helped him get it made. He helped George get it made. He flew him out to Rome and said,
Oh, wow.
hey, I want you to come write it over here. And George was like, no, I'll write it. And he's like, no, you write the here. So he like flew him out, and he was saying, let's see, what is it? I wrote notes. Where is it? He said, oh, I lost my notes.
Oh no.
Oh, but interim, he said perhaps a new environment might be inspiring for his writing. So he actually finished it in like 3.5 weeks. Dario flew him and his wife Chris out, who was his assistant director. Did you all know that? That's so cool.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. Look at these fun facts coming out.
Anyway,
here.
So I got all of that from The Dead Will Walk. It was really interesting. I highly recommend it. I found it on YouTube. I don't know where else you can find it, but as I was looking through, trying to find like BTS special feature stuff, that's where I found it.
You can find that particular documentary and several others. If you, again, not sponsored, but I would love it if it was. Second Sight video out of the UK. Because unfortunately, you can't get this here on Blu-ray in the States or streaming. Rights issues that we don't have to get into.
Classic rights. Classic Hollywood.
But Second Sight video out of the UK last year released an amazing edition, probably the best there will ever be, of Dawn of the Dead. I highly recommend it if you have a region-free Blu-ray player or 4K, which they also released it on.
Fancy.
It's a gorgeous release.
Bellissimo.
Excuse me for just a moment, guys.
Oh, there it is.
Apologize.
There it is.
Cheers to your doctor.
Yeah, the doctor's in the house now. Dr.
Cheers
D.
to the doctor. Hashtag not sponsored, but ready to be.
Yeah. Dr. Pepper is for me as well.
Corona Premier.
Listen, I'll drink too someday. I'll drink your pea-colored drink.
What the fuck?
It tastes like brisk. Anyway.
That's brisk, baby.
That's piss, baby.
And we've got derailed already.
Yikes. We're never going to get sponsored like that.
As this is a roundtable discussion format for the month, you two, tell me about how you first came to see Dawn of the Dead. What was your first? Can you remember your first experience with the movie?
Not.
Today
was the first time ever. Yeah.
I cannot, so I'll leave that to you guys.
I can. Like I said last time, one of the first horror movies I ever saw / bought was Night of the Living Dead 30th anniversary edition on VHS.
Was that the two tape set?
No, it came in a light gray clamshell, like plastic clamshell.
Yeah, I got the two tape set was the one I got.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I bought this one because, again, I'm like 11, 12, something like that. And I bought it off the cover alone and like the tagline of like scariest movie ever made. Like,
was it from like, did you get like an allowance or did you have?
No, I worked for it, mowing when I shouldn't have been.
Mowing down zombies.
Yeah, I shouldn't have been allowed on a riding mower at that age.
But there you were drinking a Budweiser, drinking a Bud Heavy, just
Bud Dry. It was the 90s.
It was the 90s. Yeah. Well, I ask why. Try Bud Dry.
Yeah, I had that first, and then a Red Dog.
Oh, two Red Dog.
Anybody remembers Red Dog?
Yeah, Red Dog Ale. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was young once.
You're right. Wish they still made Red Dog. I just want that can again. Anyways, no, I used my working money to buy that. I think that was my first VHS purchase.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
It was either that or a very weird movie that I might make you both watch called Tetsuo the Iron Man later.
Oh, I've seen Tetsuo.
Oh God.
Tetsuo.
It's so fucked up. Anyways, it was either that or that. I think it was Night. because Tetsuo would have royally fucked me up.
Oh yeah, Tetsuo's the kind of movie like your parents find, and then you're not allowed to watch it anymore.
Yeah, and they're just like, you're not allowed to go outside or talk to people.
Yeah,
or like,
you're in therapy if your parents catch you with Tetsuo at 12.
right. Like you have to eat plain oatmeal because like clearly the brown sugar and maple one is like making you too hyper.
Yeah.
Like calm down. Anyways,
Tetsuo.
I watched Night of the Living Dead first. Loved it, even though it scared me. And then one of my more next, that makes a lot of sense, Glenn. One of my next purchases later was again off of the cover alone, not realizing it was a sequel ish, was Dawn of the Dead. Again, a clamshell VHS. I can't remember the color of the case, but it wasn't just black. But it had the really colorful
Yeah. Like the
pink and
purple and
orange.
yellow. Oh, was it
You
pink?
still have this stuff at home?
I think I do. That probably is worth money, except I'm sure I wore the fuck out of those tapes.
VHS was not kind to
No.
No.
And I mean, like, I had like 8 movies I watched over and over, and that was 2 of them. Like, and that and Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and Back to the Future. That's more than 8. Whatever. But yeah, I bought it like basically because it had like that, the pink and orange was the one that I had, the cover, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, and it had like the fucked up cartoon zombie face.
Yeah.
And watched it. I didn't realize it at the time. I think it was some special edition again. It was the extended cut. And yeah, it was one of the first. It was the first like real what I'd consider like gore movies that I saw. I saw it roughly at the same time I saw Suspiria.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Also by buying it blindly, but on DVD.
Blindly.
Yeah, I bought a lot of movies blindly, and I apparently had really good taste. This was
Or they had really good cover art.
They did.
Dude, that was half the job at the video store, man. That's why cover artist, poster art. That was a job. Like those are people that you hired to sell your movie to people.
And I follow Drew Struzan. Like I said, I've said it before on Twitter. He did so much of the 1980s poster art. Unbelievably talented.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember how many poster arts or VHS covers I saw that scared the shit out of me walking through the video store. Dead Alive with that fucking thing coming through its mouth that like is not in the movie at all.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that one too, dude. That cover scared the shit out of me.
For some reason, the Silence of the Lambs with the moth close to the eye, I was like, that's fucked up. I mean, that movie's good. I love it. Won an Oscar? Anyways.
I don't know.
How did you see it? I'm rambling on about VHS covers.
Well, I think I said last week that the Savini version of Night was the first one that I saw. So my Dawn story is, if I'm remembering it correctly, directly tied to that moment. So I remember seeing Night of the Living Dead and going, holy shit. I wonder, what happened to these characters? What happened to the world? And then looked it up and found that there was a Dawn of the Dead and a Day of the Dead. And I got really confused because they'd come out before Night of the Living Dead. And the timeline got very, very shaky for me. Because I was like, well,
Pre-internet, clearly.
Yeah, I was like, well, I guess, like, I don't know. Like, maybe they were prequels or something. Like, I couldn't justify it. And then someone was like, no, man, that's a remake. And I was like, no, it says George A. Romero presents. God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a bitch. But yeah, my first thought was, wow, what an interesting choice to make a sequel before you make the original. I was very confused.
Or
I
they
was
could
like,
have
what?
started at the beginning of the day. Dawn,
Yeah.
Day, and Night.
I mean, I guess they are, you could shuffle to some degree, but yeah, that's how I did it. And I was just like, wow, like to me, all the gore in that movie, like the foam ripping of the flesh was just something that made me go like, oh, I want to do special effects, because it
Same.
wasn't very
Same.
good. Like it
Same.
was very obvious, that it was not real. But there was something. I mean, to me, a lot of it felt cartoony.
But you saw it after you saw
Yeah.
All the
Savini
other
doing
slashers.
like very, very
Yeah,
real
yeah,
effects.
yeah, for sure. Well, so that was my
And probably
experience.
after like Friday the 13th
Yeah.
and
All of those had been viewed
Nightmare on
before
Elm
this.
Street.
This was new. This was new to me because clearly it was after 1990, right, or whenever Night of the Living Dead
Yeah.
came out.
Right.
Like, so yeah, and I'm fairly certain I would have gotten it from Fox Video in Archibald, Pennsylvania, where my friend Jason used to work, where a vast majority of my VHS horror
VHS
collection came from.
That's
What a crazy time that was. But yeah, no, and I fell in love with it immediately. Like I love it was inspiring to me watching those movies. It made me write a lot. Like yeah, like my zombie thing was born of those days where I was discovering Romero and discovering the Living Dead series. So, and then you go after Return of the Living Dead, and you like, I didn't realize that wasn't part of the Romero thing. Like it was,
right.
it was a rough time, but now I like getting fights with people over zombies, like I did.
Oh boy.
I was the zombie director of a short film made by a group of talented women that go by the name Team Unicorn, and I got to direct the director of Chucky, of Child's Play, on how to be a zombie, and I had no idea at the time who I was talking to.
Oh,
I was so dialed in with making sure the zombies looked good that I'm here like, yeah, so if you kind of shamble a little, like give yourself like a tick or something every once in a while, like to really like shake it up, like, get the, like I was literally like teach people how to groan and move, and like it was the best day. I got to be a zombie. I got to die several times as a zombie. And then
That's
I got
good
to
zombie direction.
direct. Oh, dude, it was the best. But yeah, so it really led to a deep love. And I know it was Dawn, like that's the thing. Like Night was really good. The Savini version was really good. And that really kicked off my love of zombies, but what cemented it was Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dawn absolutely locked in that this was my favorite genre. This was going to be where I would draw a lot of storytelling inspiration, and ultimately where I would want to try to go someday in my career. And here we are in development on a couple things, and one of them being a zombie project. So very exciting to bring that back around. But yeah, Dawn has the gets the ribbon for a lot of that.
Special place.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that about special effects. Sorry, D.
No.
I did the same thing. I watched it the first time. I was like, oh shit, I can do shit like this. That's awesome. Because like to me, that was the first. I knew it wasn't realistic, but it was more realistic than Night.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's much more intense than Night in the gore department.
just
like,
a skosh.
Because of that, like man, I hope I can find this tape now. I created, when I was younger, I took my parents' shitty 8mm video, not film camera.
Yeah.
Not high 8mm was a format for like 30 seconds in the 90s.
Yeah.
And just did special effects and or animation. So like there's like stop motion with like action figures, and then like I did a bunch of just like effects shit, which wasn't safe because I just used firecrackers as squibs. Because I'm insane. They hurt. But they looked fucking cool. I did the same thing. So there's like somewhere floating around my parents' house, like in 2 hours of just like Glenn fucking around in the backyard with fake blood and firecrackers. And
oh, dude.
I need to find that.
Dude, yeah, when I was in school, I ended up going and doing a communications class. Well, there were other communications classes, and people would always bug me because I was always making videos in my backyard with my parents' VHS recorder, old RCA VHS recorder, black and white, viewfinder.
Yep.
So people would always come like, "Hey, will you help me with a video? Help me." So I was always shooting these videos. And when I got into my senior year and I took a communications class, I ended up really messing around with like blood effects and gore effects. Like all my videos, like we would be allowed to make a video for like English class and shit. So we would all make fucking videos, and like mine, like I ended up teaching the AV portion of the communications class my senior year because the teacher was like, "You're more qualified to teach this than I am," and she handed the class over. And I taught that day. It was great. Yeah,
I did the same shit.
Dawn of the Dead that was it.
Yeah, senior year we were reading the Canterbury Tales.
Oh yeah.
And I created this super long, not based on the Canterbury Tales at all, just fucking gore video basically. Yeah. And
Newton's third law was mine. That was I maybe made a physics video like that.
I put like late 90s, early aughts fucking new metal music over it because I like half knew how to use Pinnacle Premiere or some shit.
Oh, dude, I was VCR to VCR with hands and toes, like recording stop, like hard cutting videotape to tape recording. Oh man, that shit was brutal.
I remember one of my favorite purchases I made was it was a video bridge so you could hook up analog to your computer and take 14 days to put fucking video on your computer.
What was a computer?
You're right. And then I cut this thing together for English class that was a Canterbury Tale that I think I used like an actual gallon of fake blood on.
I used to make it in the 5-gallon tubs, like the 5-gallon drums from Home Depot is what I used to make it in.
I couldn't buy any more fake Cairo syrup from my local grocery store. I bought them out.
Oh, fine.
And then I showed it in class, and my teacher was like, "You clearly put in the most time on this, so I can't give you a bad grade." But she's like, "This has nothing to do with the story." And she's like, "I'll give you an A because like clearly you put in like weeks of work." And I was like, "Uh-huh."
I sure did. Yeah, mine was about a serial killer. Like it was competing serial killers that ended up like having a sword fight at the end, and we tied that to Newton's law. It was like for every action there was an opposite and equal reaction. It was like the sword hitting the dude's head, like cutting his head off and shit. Like it was so dumb. But
my God, find this. I want to watch this.
I don't know where I would ever have found it. This might be on a VHS tape somewhere. But
also shit. Sorry, D. Like we totally didn't let you say how you found Dawn.
That's cool. I was just gonna leave and let you take over. No, I honestly can't remember at all. But I definitely have a very soft spot in my heart for zombies, and this is an amazing movie. Like it's got it all, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's got comedy, it's a serious film that has social commentary, it's gory, there's action, like it encompasses so many things so well. And I did want to touch on some makeup stuff because in the Smoke and Mirrors documentary, Tasso and Stavrakis, he was actually a stunt guy in Day of the Dead and Savini's makeup assistant on Friday the 13th, and then stunt coordinator on Day of the Dead. Wait, he was a stunt guy on Dawn of the Dead, stunt coordinator on Day of the Dead.
Oh, gotcha.
In Smoke and Mirrors, as he tells it, and Savini mentions in the Dawn of the Dead documentary that Dawn of the Dead is what got him the Friday the 13th gig. Tasso was talking about how like they knew that it wasn't great. Like the blood, it was like he said they used 3M and something from Germany, and it just looked like red paint. They weren't super happy with it. Um, and it was actually on the way to Friday the 13th. Um, it's a really cool story, so I highly recommend watching the documentary. They stopped by Dick Smith's house, makeup artist extraordinaire. We're talking exorcist, taxi driver, scanners, Death Becomes Her, which I actually just bought on DVD the other day.
Nice.
Wow.
He got an Academy Award for best makeup for his work on Amadeus. He gave them the blood recipe. So from then on, it was much more realistic looking because they got Smith's blood recipe.
Is this the
Oh, I
one with
see.
the whatever it is, the photofill or whatever it is?
What?
There's like a secret ingredient that an effects
I
guy
do-
told me once that was like it's the like you mix in like the solution that you use for like developing film or something,
Oh yeah, I've heard this
like
before.
photofill
Really?
or something it's called, or but
Yeah,
like it gives it like the right texture or something, like it's
that
like
makes
it makes
sense.
it inedible. You can't put it in your mouth or your eyes, but
No.
when you're gonna hit a wall with it,
Right.
it's the way to go.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And in the Dawn of the Dead documentary, Savini mentions, he said, when George Romero called him and talked about doing this movie, he's like, start thinking about ways to kill people, right?
Right.
And obviously Night of the Living Dead was in black and white. So he's like, so what color should the zombies be? What color should their faces be? And he's like, gray. I went with gray. And he literally says, which was not a good idea because, it showed up differently on different people. Sometimes it looked green,
Yeah.
sometimes it looked blue. So it was a decision that they made, and they obviously stuck with and had to stick with
Yeah.
because Romero was all about, and Savini too. They were all about using what they could use and making the best of it.
Which I fucking love.
Which is one of the things, TJ, I told you have to watch this documentary because it's a very similar style to the way we make movies and the way we want to make movies. So many different things. Like they talk about how George Romero was such an amazing person, that he was one of those guys who, it wouldn't matter if you were on set 14, 15, 16 hours. You wanted to do it. You wanted to please him. You wanted to do it for him because he treated you with respect, because he treated you really well. And that actually made me think of, you remember that Batman short we did, TJ? Were you on that, Glenn?
Sure was. I doubled for Cobblepot.
Yeah,
at the
for
very end.
yeah, at the
Oh,
very
shit.
end, Glenn had the hood on and the
We
that
shot
was
what,
great.
23
20
hours?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
it
it
was a
was
day. It was a
crazy.
full day.
It was like 23 hours.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, we had to get it done. It was this
We'll never see it again.
we'll never see it because
It's
we got
no,
a
it's
cease and desist.
I think it's still on YouTube.
Oh,
I thought
is
they
it?
took it. I thought
Yeah,
they
no,
took it down.
the cease and desist was to not make any more. We had to
okay.
take the Kickstarter for the series down and not make the series, but they allowed, because it was a festival piece, they allowed it to exist on Machinima's website. Now I don't know if it's there anymore because Machinima died, but
Yeah, I was like, is Machinima a thing? Well, it was, but it
I
was,
don't think so.
it was because it was a dark reference, like the Dark Knight and stuff like that. It was Christopher Nolan's universe.
Right.
And that's why we got that. But either way, we produced that for a friend of ours who wanted to get this done. And it turned into an insanely long day. But people were coming up to you, right, TJ? Like, you finished the story about how people were saying that
They wanted to keep going.
Oh, that
Yeah,
it was
3
it was
hours.
one of the better shoots they'd been on because of how much fun they were having.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and they felt taken care of. I mean, that's part of the job. Like it's not just showing up with a case of water and a couple bags of chips and being like, I'm a producer now. It's it's understanding the people that you're working with, and it's understanding that they're human beings and they have lives outside of that job and they have priorities outside of that job, and their priority isn't your success. So you have to make them comfortable, and you have to make them feel appreciated because they're there doing you a thing. And that's the only way anyone should move through this industry. It's not always how it goes, but it is this
100%.
I
the
remember
center
correctly.
pillar.
Didn't we go into third meal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we had to. And
Yeah.
two, you have to like continually check with the crew and see, like,
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't just go 23 hours and we're like, hey, whatever.
Yeah. We had
After-
some people had to leave. Some people
Yeah.
walked away, which was completely understandable.
They
After
had
16,
After
17
certain
that
hours.
next day.
Yeah.
You have to see if people are willing to stay to finish the project,
Yeah.
you know, and then keep checking with them. But you know, yeah, there's a lot of parallels. So
Yeah.
another really cool thing in that documentary is that George Romero did not give any of the people who came out and who were excited to come out to be zombies. Like, people were clamoring towards the end. Like, as soon as word of mouth got out, people were fighting over who got to eat actual intestines or whatever gross stuff Tom Savini was throwing their way. People were fighting over who would get killed. Like, they wanted to get killed. It was amazing. Like, people were so supportive. But he let everybody do what they felt that their zombie would do, which is why you have so many different, like you were talking about, different ticks and different, you know, different walks and different shuffles and different looks on their faces. Like, he gave them that agency to create their own character.
Yeah. Well, that's what I called upon in that short was who were you before you were a zombie? You know, what did you do? Did you have a limp? Did you, did your head kind of tilt to the side? Were you always looking around? Were you very jittery? You know, like what did you do as a human being? I think that as an actor, like, it's a very Stanislavski thing to do, but like, you work in those mannerisms, you find your emotional abinaya for your zombie and you lean into that. And that's what makes you stand out from the crowd. Because when you're a fucking zombie on The Walking Dead, and there's fucking 500 of you or whatever for the day, odds are you're not going to stand out in the crowd unless you've been specifically targeted and cast for, a role, But, by creating those unique character moments for yourself, like Steven does with that crooked ankle at the end,
and the gun that is just like on his finger, he doesn't know what to do with it,
because that's it. Like, you're frozen in time there as you were. And I really love that Romero did that as well, because they're fucking zombies, they're a fictional thing. Like, it's not, and before this, what we had to work with was effectively Night of the Living Dead. Like, so, the dude really wrote the book on what we now know as the zombie.
Yeah.
And a couple people have come in over time. One of them we'll talk about tonight and have turned that idea on its head a little bit. But ultimately, a zombie is a zombie, man. And you diverge too much and you're no longer a zombie.
Right.
So,
and speaking of standing out, again, from the documentary, really interesting. Diehard fans have favorite zombies, and they actually interviewed the helicopter zombie, the one who gets his head chopped off by the helicopter, the nurse zombie. You see her a lot in the movie, and people were like they got interviewed, and they're like, there are people who come up to me and say, I've been waiting to meet the nurse zombie for years, or for the helicopter zombie, I drove 14 hours to come and meet you at this signing. Like, it's so cool that him allowing them to create their own persona, their own character, has stuck with people for so long.
Yeah. That
they want to meet. They have favorite zombies. Like, that's so cool.
Well, that's the thing, right? And Glenn, I have a question for you after this. Don't let me forget.
Sure.
But like, when these things happen, when this world occurs in the zombie apocalypse, it impacts people at different times doing different things. You don't know. There may be a dude who gets bit at a birthday party where he's doing a fucking clown show. You know, there may be a hockey player at a game. There may be, you know, a dude in a sports mascot costume. Like, there are literally a fucking, you know, big guy in a diaper and a bonnet with a giant rattle. Like, fucking people are always doing different things. And I'll pose this question to you both. So in the zombie apocalypse, you have been killed. You are now a zombie. What do you look like? What are you wearing? What do you do?
Is this what I would actually look like or what I'd want to be a zombie of?
Either.
Ooh.
This could be how you feel that Glenn would actually be. You could do both if you're so compelled. I'm just curious to know if you were a zombie in a world where we have Hare Krishna zombie and, you know, assault rifle zombie and, you know, nurse zombie. What zombie do you show up as in Romero's Dawn of the Dead?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, I know how I'd show up in real life. It would be a dude in shorts and a t-shirt,
holding an empty can of craft beer in one hand, like gripping it tight.
I mean, if the apocalypse was coming, yeah, probably. I probably would be drinking. I'd be like, fuck it, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't be the third zombie that happened.
Yeah, I always said I would like grab one of those old school like woven plaid lawn chairs that would fold up in 3 ways.
Yeah.
And a bottle of booze, like when the meteor was coming to hit, and I would just park that shit in the middle of the street and just keep drinking until it hit. And that was it. Just watch it come, just like one last sunset, you know what I mean? Get it done.
Yeah. I'd be comfortable. I'd probably, I mean, it depends on where I am. I'd probably be in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
But you're right. I'd probably have some sort of probably craft beer in my hand. Yeah, there wouldn't be anything else exceptional. I'd have to think about what kind of zombie I'd want to be. I'm trying to think of something that'd be cool.
Well, Denise, while Glenn thinks of that, your real world zombie, how would we find Denise Pantoja in Romero's Night of the Living Dead?
It would be like jeans and a t-shirt, hair not combed, probably in a bun. And I mean, if we were on a project, I don't know, maybe I'd have a binder or a clipboard in my hand. But or maybe I would just walk around with a Dr. Pepper can. Because that's what I remember from life. But yeah, I certainly, now that's like one of the things I'm trying to like not change about myself, but I have an outfit. Like shit, I wore jeans and t-shirts when I was PAing, when I shouldn't have been wearing jeans in like 104-degree weather. When you know, there's nothing worse than wet jeans. You're sweating through jeans. But I just never I never purchased anything else, and I was just always in jeans. So I'm trying to like change that about my wardrobe. So hopefully, if the zombie apocalypse holds off a little, you'd see me in something different. But if it were to happen anytime soon, it will be jeans. It'll be ripped up jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm going to be hard loungewear. It's either going to be what I'm wearing right now, which is pajama pants and a long sleeve V-neck pajama shirt, or like a acid washed Hardy Boys t-shirt with basketball shorts. Either way, I'm either going to be barefoot or in flip-flops. And that's 100% what I would be like. By the way, chat, if anyone would like to play along, please put into chat what type of zombie you would be, you out there, what type of zombie you would be in Romero's Dawn of the Dead. And be sure to think about your answer for the future, because I'm going to ask the same question for the 2004 version. Glenn, you've had some time to think about it. What zombie do you want to be costumed in Romero's Dawn of the Dead?
That's fair. We were talking about this, or well, I was talking about it earlier. So yeah, I would. I think I would take my father's coat that he had
Yes.
Describe this code.
And I will. It's a like 3/4 length, whatever. It comes down to your thighs. This coat is clearly from the 70s. It's like a maroon dark red leather with superfluous stitching on the front because again 70s.
Classic.
But instead of just being like a really long trench coat, it's a full-on winter coat. It's very thickly padded, but it closes like a suit, so it has like a lapel here like this, but the lapel is either, I'm sure it's real, some sort of fur on it. So it's just like this awesome like fox, or I don't know what it is, fur lapel with just like this really long red leather jacket, probably jeans, and then like I should be holding something that would make me look cool. I'm trying to think of what that would be. I don't know. Some sort of like garden implement that like doesn't match the coat.
Yeah.
We had this thing growing up. It was just like a bunch of circular. It was a bunch of like metal circles that had like spikes coming out of it in like. I have to look that up. What it's called. Whatever. It's just a stupid garden implement that looked like it'd really fuck you up if you were using it as a weapon. And I'm sure they don't make it anymore because it didn't work for the purpose it was supposed to do. It was one of those like as seen on TV things. You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah. Was it one of
I'll
those
have to
like
look it up.
quad spiked inner like harpoon looking things?
Yeah, I think that's the kind of zombie I'd want to be, because either it's in the 70s when this is happening, like it's Dawn of the Dead for some reason, or it's now. Either way, somebody be like, "What the fuck is that guy doing? And what was he doing?"
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Like that's what I want from my like perfect zombie, is like somebody's like, "Who is that guy, and what was he doing right before he got bit?"
That's an excellent zombie, Glenn. Denise, what about you? What's your dream zombie for Romero's Dawn?
I mean, I in real world, I'd fight to the end, which is why I'm probably gonna be in like,
Sure.
whatever. But if I'm like, listen, I'm going out, I'd probably get the most dressed up I've ever been in my entire life. You know what I mean? I would put makeup on, which I don't wear. I would get my hair done or do my hair all purty. Like Fran's got some good hair. She's all curly and everything. So pretty. It's very fancy and classy. I'd wear like a super fancy gown.
Fancy
and
gown.
maybe a vintage fur stole. Nothing new, because I don't support that trade, but I support reduce, reuse, recycle. So vintage items. And I just, fancy it up. I dress like
holding
I'm
anything?
Huh?
Do you have a
Are you
prop?
going to be holding anything?
Holding anything.
Like your cat, or Dr. Pepper, or
I would hold a hand fan.
A hand fan.
Ooh, I like that.
Very, very classy.
I looked up the yard implement I was talking about. It's called a yard butler, if anybody gives any sort of shit.
I know exactly what a yard butler is.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's stupid, but I like it. What about you, T?
Oh, man. My ideal Romero zombie, I feel like maybe I would do like the Pope. Like zombie Pope. Can you imagine zombie Pope just walking around like this, like just blessing people as he goes with his big Pope hat and the staff, and that's the prop, is the staff. Just wandering around the Vatican, all zombie poped out.
I'm not gonna lie. I went as a clergyman and the Pope a couple times at Halloween.
So that was a realistic opportunity for you. You could have been zombie Pope.
Let me tell a real quick story about the nun when you're done.
I was going to say, so you kind of look like, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, you kind of look like the lead singer of Ghost.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it look.
Yeah, I'm all for that because I like Ghost, but I'm all for that.
Jake sent me a new band today. I know he's not watching right now. Yeah, Jake sent me a new band today.
I'm curious what that is.
I'm gonna call it out because Jake has awesome taste in music. This band is called Tilsim. Looks like Tilsim. Feels like wrestling music almost. It's weird. Like I saw wrestling entrances to all the music. It's great.
Yes, Estonian Ghost with exclamation point.
Yeah. Well, Estonian, thanks for throwing out your thoughts on what kind of zombie you'd be. And this was
holding your Yeti. Yes.
Yeah, I have a Yeti right to the left of me, right there on the pool table.
I have a Yeti. Hashtag not sponsored.
Oh, what a burger!
Oh, you did get that. Nice.
Yes.
This was my birthday present from TJ.
Your drink will still be fucking cold when they shoot you in the head.
I need the handle for it though. That one gets pretty heavy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So interestingly enough, when Fran is closing the door, and the nun's habit gets caught in the door, Romero goes up to her and he's like, "Don't shoot the nun." And she's like, "What?" And he's like, Don't shoot the nun." He's like, You can't shoot a nun." And this is from Romero, who killed children at the beginning. I mean, he didn't kill them, but like in the script, they killed children at the beginning. And she's like, "It's funny that was his line." She said something about like Catholic guilt or something like that. But he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to switch that up." I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing it originally had her shooting whatever zombie that was, and he was like, "No."
And what a great impromptu decision, because that ends up being one of the most memorable parts of the whole movie. That moment that they share together where she just lets her go.
Yeah.
Like really beautiful imagery there. Whether he meant to do that or not, it was executed very well. Yeah, that was good stuff. I love the movie so much. What is I would have to say, like, I'm trying to think of like what my favorite part of the movie is, like what where it hits home for me the most. And I think for me it lands squarely in like the good times, like when they've cleared the mall and they're like shopping and having fun and drinking. And by the way, I had a huge crush on Fran. I think smoking is gross. Like, I would never date a smoker. I'd let Fran smoke in bed. Like, Fran was like a strong, beautiful, super intelligent woman. And as a kid, and even as an adult, I crush on Fran, because that woman, whilst like 4 months pregnant, learns to be a sharpshooter. She learns to fly a helicopter. She learns to be a field medic. She does a bunch of other shit too. I can't remember what the other one was that I called out. Oh, she's a chef. She's in there cooking for everybody. Like Fran is she's the Swiss Army knife of the movie. They were like, we can only afford 4 real actors for this film. You're the tough guy. You're going to have the emotional breakdown. You're the weak one. And Fran, you take the other 8 roles. And she's like, I've got it, George. Don't worry. I'm a great actress. And then she does. Like, Fran's my favorite character in the whole movie. But yeah, my favorite part was when they're like I imagine David Bowie's Golden Years playing while they're like going through the mall and like trying shit on, and like it's much more eerie, the music that they use. But I think Golden Years from Bowie would have been great. What about you two? call someone take lead on this and
I'll let
tell
you
me your
go,
favorite
Glenn,
movie.
because I actually have some actor stories to tag on to
Ooh,
that.
okay. That's tough because like the first time I saw it, like I was younger, so like I was drawn to the gore, whether it be the helicopter zombie or the disemboweling, or the numerous headshots, or the first head explosion I've ever seen.
Pop.
You're right. I hate to say this is my favorite part because it's not enjoyable, but I'll
Impactful?
impactful, yeah. Because I agree with TJ. Like, I think my favorite parts are when it's like the good times, which is like an interesting tone shift that a lot of horror movies don't do.
Yeah.
Or don't do for a long stretch of time, which this movie does.
Well, and you have to, right? Like you're occupying 3-4 months of story time. Like that's a big stretch to go, and it's a long movie, but it's a lot of story.
No, I agree. Like, and I truly enjoy it when they're like having a really good time. Well, they're having a good time in the mall. Like it's interesting because like at the beginning of it, it's like a very somber, depressing, like, oh fuck, this is how the world ends.
Very serious.
Of course, it's terrible. And then a lot of the middle of the movie is them having a really good time in the mall, and it's almost kind of a different movie in not a bad way. Like I get it. Like, how would you not react that way? And then, well, the end is the end. But whatever. So not to give the same answer, I think the scene sequence, whatever you want to call it, that was most impactful for me, and still is, because I still have a hard time watching it, is the raid on the tenements at the beginning, the low income housing they're in. It's eerie in that like I don't see it being far from reality.
Yeah.
Like exactly. It's supposed to be low income, marginalized people, and the military goes in and it's just like, fuck it, we'll kill them, and it's just like, wait a minute, why? And then like that terrible character goes in and just murders everyone for no reason, dead or alive, basically. It's really hard to watch. Even if some of the effects are not great. It's weird because some of them aren't, and then some of them you're like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite, and I think that's the best scene in the movie, despite it being awful to watch.
Yeah.
So I'll give it to that. If I'm not picking the like them having fun in the mall, which is a good time to watch.
Real talk, Austonian Night, even today.
Not just art imitating life.
No shit.
Art predicting. Yeah.
Like if that wasn't the real military response.
Yeah.
Sure it isn't.
So for me, I 100% agree with TJ. That is my favorite part, because you also think too, like, what a relief to find a place that you can have access to guns, to food, to water. Like, whew, like that would be amazing. Like I'm consistently going around figuring out what the best places to hole up would be in these cases, you know. It's weird, but I do it. But like what an amazing, and then you think about what you would do, and they not only, you know, eat, they just go shopping for fun stuff, and they dress up, and you know, Fran's got the makeup part on, and then also it goes to like a very serious, dark place.
Yeah.
Where it gets boring almost for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, what the hell, what else do I do now? So definitely that. But like Glenn, not to take the same answer, I would have to say one of the very impactful, lasting moments for me is when the priest comes out of the basement.
Oh, he's so good too. He's such a good actor too.
So good.
Oh man.
I mean, that is part of the same sequence, but like I'm really more talking about the siege, and this is
the assault on precinct.
Yeah, this is
great movie.
Section 8.
the original.
Yeah.
He's so broken.
Yeah.
He's so he's tired. You know,
Yeah.
he's so real. And a couple of interesting things about the movie and these actors is that when I was watching the documentary, it was really, really very interesting that they were like, okay, so Chris Romero was George's wife. She's like, we didn't really know proper filmmaking at that time, so we were like, okay, so who do we call who can do the things we need to do? So they used the same DP from Night. He called Tom Savini, and what George said stuck with me because, again, this is exactly us. He literally says, well, who are you going to call? You call your friends.
Yeah.
And so you surround yourself with your friends and the people who can do stuff. So he had gone to a restaurant in New York City, and I'm guessing that they knew each other before. And it was a restaurant that that Scott, I'm not remembering his last name, and I'm going to do it right now. Scott, where are you? The guy who plays Roger, Scott Reiniger, worked at, and he's like, hey, do you want to audition for this movie? Well, interestingly enough, David MG, who plays Steven, also worked at that restaurant. So Scott was waiting tables and David MG was cooking. And he's like, hey, can I audition too? And George was like, yeah, sure.
That's crazy.
And I know, like a cook and a waiter, and then they're like thrust into like this amazing movie, amazing lasting movie. Well, our dear Fran, she was so self-conscious about it because Galen Ross, who played Fran, this was her first acting job.
Oh, like, wow. I didn't know that.
Like on screen.
Damn.
She was like, I didn't know how to act. She was so self-conscious. She said, I saw dailies and I thought they were going to fire me. She went out and she found an acting coach to help her. She said, we were doing these classes and people would be bringing in like Shakespeare and, you know, all sorts of other well-known authors. And I would bring in scenes from Dawn of the Dead. And then she started like having private lessons with her. And this lady, I think she was Russian, she said, and she was like, oh, what is the zombie doing to you now? And was that Russian accent? I don't know. Anyway,
sure.
Man. Yeah, I don't
it was just really amazing. So she was so self-conscious about the situation because she was so fresh and so new. And she was just terrified of what she was seeing on screen, that she got extra help to make her, you know, better.
That's
which
wild.
That
is
is
an
wild.
amazing, and what a humble thing too, because actors are not always humble. I say this as an actor, and having worked with many, it doesn't always happen that people recognize their weaknesses.
Yeah, actors can be pieces of shit, like colossal, big old honking duffel bags worth of shit. Like, don't get it mixed. Hollywood is a terrible place full of shitty people.
But
and a lot of times it's going to be an actor.
There are a lot of amazing people as well.
There are absolutely 100% no, I'm kidding.
None of them are actors.
There are
crew.
There are a solid amount of amazingly
of
wonderful people in Hollywood that have been amazing to us. And
they're
have been
all
great
behind the camera.
Friends and
None of them are in front
mentors.
of it.
A couple of them are in front of it.
PG says this being an actor as well.
Yeah, I am an actor as well. And I was the kind of actor who we would go to auditions. I'd go to like an audition for a musical. And when you go to an audition for a musical, it's typically populated. Now, I've been this guy my whole life. Like I'm this. I'm never not this. And so I would go to
tie-dye t-shirts and flip-flops.
Yeah, now it's more like mohawks because I'm balding and sunglasses because reasons. But yeah, I would go. I remember very specifically I went to an audition once for a musical, and everyone was there waiting in the audition, and they're all like, everyone's got their CD Walkman with their mixtape from like their vocal coach or whoever, like with their audition piece, or they're like running their monologue. And I would sit there with this CD Walkman with Metallica's Ride the Lightning. And like, I would just get psyched up because I was like, listen, I've already practiced this much in practice. Like, sitting here and practicing in front of a bunch of people is not going to do me any good. I'm just going to get self-conscious. So I'm just going to vibe. Like, I'm just going to fucking put the headphones on and fucking vibe until they call my name and go in and do the thing. And I don't remember why I started this story. I've forgotten.
We're talking about actors and how
Shitting on
terrible.
actors. I'm all for it right now.
Yeah. So they're, you know, and again, I'm like
Turned up the volume on my
a couple
headphones.
decades worth of musical theater experience. Like, I'm an actor, right? But man, do I hate my kind. They could be a lot, but they can also be some very excellent people. You know, befriend an actor today. Reach out. Find yourself an actor to befriend and show them the ways of harmony and peace. But yeah, that's crazy though, D, because like the acting is pretty good. Like, it's the 70s, you know, but the fact that you have a girl who never acted as the only female in the movie, not only the lead, but the only one there, you know, to carry that responsibility is fucking huge. Yeah. And then the rest of the cast too is, you know, they could get a little big.
Right. But I think it was very indicative of the time.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. But that's what I love about Romero, man. Like, fucking theater actors. And again, just using what he had at his availability. Like, I'm sitting here in northeastern Pennsylvania right now, meeting people that are like, oh yeah, I did one thing one time. I'd love to do another thing one time. And sometimes you find really amazing performers in both the behind the camera and in front of it, in the most unlikely of places. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's talent everywhere. That's the reality of the situation. It's literally all around us. It just needs to be discovered.
No doubt.
Given a chance to blossom.
The TV commentator at the very beginning and Mr. Berman, the guy he's interviewing, were Howard Smith and David Early. They knew each other from theater in the area, and they decided to get together and rehearse because they really wanted it to feel incredibly natural. Their back and forth, their huge argument, it sets the tone for the movie. Like, it sets the tone for the environment and for the helplessness that one would feel in this situation. And he's like, we told George, you know, hey, we rehearsed. And he was like, great. And he said, I think he used the first take. And really, if you sit and you look at them and they're back and forth and they're yelling at each other, and the anger, and like, you know, one's trying to convince the other and the other's saying, you're ridiculous and you don't make any sense. And it really does feel very natural to what one would think would happen in that situation. When you're like the last people on TV trying to explain what's going on to the world, and you have a doubter, and you have somebody who's very who stands behind what they believe is happening.
Doesn't mirror our times at all.
Not at all.
No.
Nope. I love the kid in that opening scene who's like, our responsibility's over. And he's so fucking chill about it. He's just like, nah, the world's ending. I'm going to go home and pet my cat. Which I would do. So respect. But guys, I think we need to get moving on to the 2004. So before we go, any last thoughts, anecdotes, loving to-dos in regards to the 1978 George Romero Dawn of the Dead?
Let me see.
If you haven't seen it, watch it. if you can buy it, buy it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can buy it from Second Sight from the UK, buy it, because we need
Tell them Glenn sent you.
the best versions there are, despite rights issues. I've seen the 3 official cuts. Watch any of them. I would do it in order of theatrical, extended, and then Argento cuts, which are the 3 you can get ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really just watch it if you haven't seen it. It's one of those rare movies that like is very much of its time. Like it's clearly made in the 70s. It's clearly made in America in the 70s.
Yeah.
But it's subtext that isn't very far below the surface is still resonant today.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an important work. Like it's not just like a horror popcorn piece. Like it has a saying. It's important. It makes points that are very clear and more loud than they were when he made this. Again, like Night, weirdly.
Mm-hmm.
He as in George had a finger on a pulse that like wasn't a thing at the time when he was making it somehow.
He's
Like
very prophetic.
he was truly kind of a prophet.
Yeah.
Not like a 100 years in the future prophet, but like, oh, this shit's gonna happen in like 2 or 3 years. It's gonna be bad. And he was right. But it's also gonna last forever because it's America.
America.
It's great. Watch it, own it, buy it, give money to the people, I guess, that own it.
Or just send money to the living
Ramiro
cast
estate,
and
yeah.
crew.
Marked bills,
Members
cash.
just send cash or
In an
Bitcoin,
envelope.
Dogecoin. Denise, what
Right.
about you? What are your final thoughts?
It is absolutely see it, buy it, rent it from any, like if you have any local video stores left, like I highly recommend supporting them as well. Like I said in the Discord, yes, buy it, own it. It's so impactful. It was a movie definitely of its time, but also like we said, before its time and timeless. So it's all those 3 wrapped into one movie. He was, and I'm just going to keep saying he was unparalleled. He was so amazing. In part of the interview, he does speak about consumerism, and we identify so much with what we have, and what happens when that's all we have left. How important does that make any of it? You know what I mean? And there's no one to show it to, or there's no one to talk to about it. Like there's nothing else to do. You see them get bored in that mall.
Yeah.
And then another thing about George Romero is he was masterful at so many other things. He edited this himself. The assistant editor has the most amazing stories about how he would just snip and cut and hang stuff all over the place and then just put them all together, and then he would like take his scissors and then cut and then put it all together so perfectly. And it was amazing to watch him work. Obviously it was too long when it got to Argento, so he was like, we had to shorten it a little bit.
That's where he got his start. Like some of the special features you can watch from the Night Criterion version is like they talk about his like start in editing, really, and like you can see it. Like I would almost argue, I wouldn't argue, but I would almost argue that Romero is a better editor than he is a director.
Oh,
Interesting.
They're intertwined.
Hashtag
They're very
Glenn
closely-
hates George Romero.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Don't say that.
George Romero.
It's true. I don't love Halloween, so you can give me your Carpenter bullshit. But whatever. He made amazing movies after that.
He did.
But directing and editing are very much intertwined. They should be very much linked. Not always, especially with studio interference. But they make a very good argument about why Night works as well as it does because of the editing that Romero did on it. And I think it's very true here. Like we were watching it and I said, oh shit, that's a great edit. Like watching this again. And I've seen this a billion times. And I'm not saying he's a bad director. I'm just saying he might be a better editor.
Yeah, he went, because Pittsburgh was one of the hubs for like news on film, and he would just watch them cut.
Yeah.
But TJ, you tell us about Dawn, and then we will move on to the remake.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll keep it short.
Sorry
because
if we talked too much.
no, that's okay. You said a lot of great stuff. The reality of the fact is that, Romero made these very impactful pieces, and they weren't shot the best, they weren't scored the best, they weren't. There's a lot that I think for
You gonna throw shade here, D, or no?
No shade. What I'm saying is that
so TJ doesn't hate Romero.
The stories that George Romero was able to tell, the way that he was able to tell them, I think deserve a place very much etched, not only in film history, but in American history. And I don't know if he always gets the credit that he deserves for that. But but the reality of the situation is George Romero was a brilliant human who chose a very peculiar medium to tell very important stories through. And you see it in Dawn of the Dead in a lot of ways. He tells a lot of different stories. He touches on rampant racism amongst figures of authority in this country, mistreatment of foreigners, sexism. I mean, the dude wasn't afraid of fucking anything. And if he saw that it was wrong in the world, he quite literally shot it in the head. So, Dawn is my favorite of the Living Dead series. I would just say go watch it. Go watch it, enjoy it, and spread its message of fucking righteous justice throughout the land. So that's our chat on the 1978 version. And when we come back, we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into the 2004 James Gunn penned, Zack Snyder directed Dawn of the Dead remake. So stay tuned, hang tight, go grab a drinky poo, fill up, and we'll be back in just a moment. Till then. And we are back, everybody. How are we doing? There's some popcorn in our face. I hope you like it. Feel free to throw some popcorn at Denise.
Face corn.
In
I
chat.
had like a really.
I'm going to throw some popcorn at her in chat right now. It's bloody, it's delicious, and it's available to you as a subscriber here on Channel 29. Welcome back, everybody. Hope everyone had a nice little break. Hope you got to hang out, watch Lord of the Rings or whatever you wanted to do in that 5 minutes. But we are back,
My goodness.
and we are ready to talk about Zack Snyder's reimagining 2004 James Gunn scripted, fresh off the tails of Scooby-Doo, Dawn of the Dead.
Interestingly enough, James Gunn got death threats. Got a lot of hate mail.
Sure did.
Yeah, the horror community, much like the D&D community and all other communities, can get dark and can get nasty from time to time. This was one of those cases. People were pissed off.
Yeah.
I sort of understand. Like, Dawn of the Dead is like the Vatican to horror people.
Right.
You don't tread on it. You don't speak ill of it. You don't sneeze in the wrong way. You don't.
And Romero had nothing to do with it.
Right, he didn't. And then they announced that the dude who wrote the remakes of the Scooby-Doo movies, which don't deserve all of the hate they get, let's be real.
I'll tell you right now, I fucking love the Scooby-Doo movies. I think Scooby-Doo 2 is dope as shit.
I mean, I'll contest it. It's probably because of the fucking scripts there.
Yep.
What do you know? They're written by James Gunn.
JG, baby.
No small part to the cast, including Lillard.
Yep.
True.
Okay, they shouldn't have CGI'd Scooby, but whatever. Whatever. Like, what's stupid about the hate that he got with those death threats and petitions to get him taken off of the writing, which was also something else that happened. Like, apparently people like got petitions to take Warner Brothers or Universal to get him off of it. Was there like, he doesn't know what he's doing, which is stupid because James Gunn got his fucking start in Trauma.
That's right.
Like, fucking
Romeo
Christ.
and Juliet.
There's like 5 houses of horror and Trauma is one of the 5. Like, come on. You don't write Romeo and Juliet if you don't love horror. Like, come on. Anyways, this was pre everybody loving James Gunn.
Right.
Clearly.
And realizing what a phenomenal writer he is.
Yes.
Like, he's so good.
Oh, and a director to boot. Piece of shit. Fucking awesome James Gunn being awesome at everything he touches.
I will be controversial here. I would love to see a James Gunn version of this script that he wrote.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would actually love to see that.
You mean a James Gunn directed version of this script?
Yeah, like his own script. Like? He doesn't really change it. Like, he just directs it himself.
Yeah.
That would be very...
And I'm not shitting on Snyder here because I like what he did. I'm just curious how different it would be with Gunn at the helm.
Yeah. I mean, I love this movie. Like, I love it a lot more than I was expecting to.
It was, I know, same here. It was, okay, real quick. I'll let you get back to what you're saying.
No, I have a thing. I think what you're going to say, it's going to mirror what you're saying right here.
This is only one of 2 movies that Zack Snyder has directed outside of the WB or Warner Brothers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that is interesting.
Wow.
He has been tethered to Warner Brothers for so long, which is interesting because I feel like not that I'm shitting
that tie
as a filmmaker, but I'm surprised because they keep being disappointments to fans. All these movies, and they just somebody's doubling down over there.
Well, they were.
And they were.
Now they murdered him recently.
I mean, he came out and said he's not gonna do anything with him again.
Oh, really?
And he's possibly taken Nolan with him.
Oh.
Anyways, this isn't a hearsay show.
That's right. This is a celebration. Happy July of the Living Dead, everybody.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that, though. That makes sense that this was Universal.
I mean, that's what I read on my thing.
Oh, Denise is choking on popcorn.
Oh, no. Oh, man, I had something I was going to say, and I totally forgot.
Yeah, same here. I forgot all of it.
Oh, no. What
was
it?
I don't even remember what movie we're talking about anymore.
We're talking about Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, there it is.
04.
You were going to say something that you thought was mirroring what I was going to say.
Oh, no, I don't remember any of
Zack
that. Well, you know, I mean, I'll say this. I really like this movie because I was so pleasantly surprised when I saw it. We saw it, Denise and I saw it. We were at the premiere.
Yes, we were.
Which I just found out a bunch of my close friends were also at that premiere, and I didn't know them at the time. But
I'll ask you later who that was.
Yeah, we ended up going to the premiere, and through some crazy circumstance through the work I was doing at the moment, and it was fucking awesome. It was at the Beverly Center. Like as you walked in to there was like the theater and the food court area, and like the stores that had like the Gap and shit that had like glass fronts to them had zombies in them, like blood and zombies like attacking the glass.
Or like real people.
Yeah. It was a whole experience. I actually knew one of the guys in there, and I had no idea.
Awesome.
And they were in there, and then like, so you went and you saw the movie, and it was dope. And then afterwards, they'd opened the food court up.
We saw Ken Foree.
The fucking like the premiere party was in the food court of the mall, and you just rolled up to like Panda Express, and they just gave you whatever you wanted. Like fucking everything was free. It was crazy.
So cool.
Yeah, and getting to meet Ken Foree was dope.
Like 6 Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I just kept going back for them because I was like, I mean, this is delicious. Mm-hmm. That was my dinner.
I crushed orange chicken all night.
It was so cool. And we got a t-shirt, and I was going to wear that t-shirt tonight, and I can't find it, even though I've run into it every day for the past 6 months.
I would only be able to wear that t-shirt as a headband right now. It's how small it would be on my fat ass.
I remembered what it was, and this isn't really, no one cares, but I'm going to say it anyways.
Do it.
So like, this is 04. This is tail end of high school, I think, for me. Which again, dates me, but whatever.
That was a tail end of college for me.
At the time,
I was just born.
Denise was 1 year old.
At the time, I was very, very adamant in my tastes of things that I loved. And when I heard that they were remaking Dawn of the Dead, which at the time still is one of my favorite movies, not just horror movies, just movies, I was like, fuck no, I'm not going to go see this. At the same time, just to throw out timeline, Rage Against the Machine had broken up, or close to it. Oh, and they announced
so you were in a bad place.
I was. And they're like, they're about to be Audio Slave, and they got the guy from Soundgarden, who I liked, but I was like, Audio Slave and Rage, fuck this, it's stupid, I hate it. Refused to go watch Dawn of the Dead in theaters, and refused to buy their album, Audio Slave's album. I caught the last showing my local theater had of this movie, roughly at the time. I realize this doesn't really actually line up, but whatever.
It was 2008.
The Rage and the Dawn doesn't actually line up. It's a year different, but whatever. I refused to go see it until the last showing, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll see what the fuck it's about. Because I saw enough trailers, and I was like, that looks gory as fuck. I'm gonna love this. I'm just gonna like not pretend like it's Dawn of the Dead.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I saw it, and I was like, I like this movie.
It was
I like this movie
fucking
a lot.
satisfying. Like that's
It
the
was.
only that's the only word I could think to describe it. Like to me, describe Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead in one word, and that word is satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I walked out of there so fucking happy. Like
Agreed.
as a music guy, I was over the moon. That movie introduced me to Dick Cheese. Like, fuck, man. Like,
He's a singer, in case anybody doesn't know.
yeah, Richard
That
Cheese
is our first T-shirt.
in Lounge Against the Machine.
It introduced me to Dick Cheese.
Yeah,
that is our T-shirt.
and it really did. And I've been a big fan ever since. But yeah, like I was just so satisfied. Like the zombies were awesome. I was very against fast zombies. I was very against them. That was my
Agreed.
sticking point, Glenn, I was like, fuck this movie, fuck this guy, Zack Snyder, fuck him in the face. I don't want fast zombies. Keep your fast zombies.
No,
And then
seriously, I saw the trailer. I was like, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
No.
I went to the premiere with a chip on my shoulder. And then walked out there going,
Did
this
I
is one
not
of
make
my
it clear I did as well?
yeah. And then I think I said it when we were watching it, like this is one of my favorite modern zombie films of all time. Like I put this up there against every other zombie movie of the modern era.
Could this be literally the most successful and satisfying remake of a horror movie? Can we think of another?
My Bloody Valentine 3D would give it a run for its money.
No.
But yes, like in regards to the original versus a remake.
Like Friday the 13th didn't do it. Halloween didn't do
Nightmare didn't do it.
Nightmare didn't do it.
Chainsaw didn't do it.
They didn't come close.
Well, I will say this. I'm going to throw another one out because we're
What?
thinking of real soon. The Blob with Shawnee Smith.
The Blob was better.
Okay.
The Blob might have taken it. Ever.
Sorry.
Although,
Queen.
because then there's also The Thing.
Oh yeah.
The Thing. Oh, yeah.
That's the one I'm fucking thinking of.
Listen,
Yeah.
Clearly.
I think we go like in the top 3 on any given day, depending the mood. The Thing, The Blob, and Dawn of the Dead.
but it's
Probably.
definitely the most successful remake of a 1980s. We're going to include like the 2 years before the 1980s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like that group of movies, the slashers, that group that, many of us grew up with.
Yeah.
It's for sure the most successful in that particular group.
Well, I think it did well. Like, I don't know what the box office pulled.
It did well.
I mean, I remember it being a thing, and then it got a bullshit sequel.
Didn't see it.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
it was so bad.
Did it?
Well, they did Day of the Dead.
Oh, I guess technically. Was that technically a sequel? I guess technically it was a sequel.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a remake of the original,
The other sequel.
which was really good. Yeah.
Wait, epic.
Ha.
The 2010 remake, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure. I agree.
John Carpenter's
The Thing is a
The
remake
Thing is a remake.
Yeah.
of the Howard Hawks 50s version. The Thing from Outer Space.
Yeah.
So there have
Yeah,
been
no,
successful remakes of like 1950s originals for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I think modern
Like
era, I don't
70s,
think anyone's
80s.
got to be. We live in a world of a lot of remakes right now.
A
We're
lot of
weird. It's a
remakes.
remake heavy environment at the moment. And they could
So wait,
take a
you thought
page from
John-
Dawn of the Dead.
The only one I think I'd throw out there, I mean, again, this is like older versus newer, like older than the 80s. And I hate to say it, sorry, Keanu, sorry, we don't know.
Wait,
Bram Stoker's Dracula is much better than the 30s Dracula with Lugosi.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Despite
Well, you know me in black and white
Two
movies.
terrible actings. No.
I don't
Listen.
like those movies.
I'm trying to think of something else. Like there were more remakes.
I respect black and white movies. Like, I respect the age of the silver screen. Like, I
You will never
respect
watch
it. I just don't ever want to watch it. Like there's not
Sure.
there's not a single fiber of my being that wants to go back and watch Bela Lugosi as Dracula. Like I would if someone was like, "Let's do it." I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, that's fun." But there's never a time where I'm like I need to go see the Wolfman. Like it just
Right.
doesn't happen for me. Like the
Sure.
Wolfman for me is Jason Voorhees and Dracula is Freddy Krueger. Like those are my universal monsters. So like when I think of classic monsters, it's Leatherface, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, the Tall Man. Like you know, these are my Pumpkinhead. Like this is my
Sure.
classic monsters.
Yeah.
But
Obviously, I mean,
respect to the people,
these were
obviously, who came before.
Sure.
right because these were the ones who inspired our greats. They inspired Romero. They inspired Savini. They inspired all of the people who we idolize.
Yeah.
But,
Mad respect.
Agreed. They inspired Dick Smith, who inspired Tom Savini.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's talk about
Yeah, fucking Pinhead. Epic gets it.
let's talk about the
I would hang out with Bela Lugosi.
Oh, fuck yeah, I would.
I couldn't
He'd
hang
be like
though.
smoking
real.
unfiltered cigarettes, like drinking a martini,
Yeah, telling you how John Wayne's a pussy or something. And he's like, "What?"
smoking indoors. Go ahead, Dean.
intro.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
So this becomes indicative of Zack Snyder films. This becomes
This was his first film.
yeah. So, but he like carried on with this very cut together, frenzied intro for his movies. I personally think this was probably not like he peaked too soon, but this was definitely one of his best for me personally.
Intro or directing or both?
In both, probably.
Ooh, all right.
I feel possibly that he's gotten too used to this formula, and it hasn't served him well in many different ways. I think he's incredibly talented. I don't want to like, you know,
Epic.
push that aside.
It wasn't.
But
That's
this
funny.
one it was so impactful.
It was visceral.
It was visceral. Oh gosh, yes. And then the music was perfect. Johnny Cash singing along to these horrific visuals.
He didn't play the Cranberry Zombies.
He did not.
Which he
Or
could have.
Zombie or Cranberry Zombie. I put the S in the wrong spot.
A nice cold cranberry zombie on a hot summer day.
Yummy.
I mean, zombies are delicious. But
Fucking great.
sorry, go on, D.
And no, I mean just the opening. It really hit me, and it was very impactful. I like that style. I think that it was a beautiful introduction to it.
I agree.
Because it kind of did this come before or after it? It's sort of no, forget it. We'll talk about that later. But I was a big fan of it. And then the casting was great. Huge fan. I mean, the actors were phenomenal. Ving Rhames actually tracked the producers down, and he was like, I have to be in this movie. And he read for the Savini remake. He read for Ben, which, we didn't get to say, Tony Todd actually cornered Savini one day outside of one of the lots. He was on one of the lots, and he literally grabbed him. He's like, you have to read me for this role. You have to. And there's like a funny, I can't even remember where it was, where I saw that. It had to have been in one of the documentaries or as I was going through. and looking through maybe some BTS stuff. And he goes, he read him, and in 5 minutes he was like, yeah, this is the guy. So it was interesting. But so Ving read for that part as well, and then he hears that this remake is going on, and he's like, I need to be in this.
Thank God he was.
Agreed. I don't think there's a better cast than that.
No, in the cast in general was fantastic. I mean, like you said, you got Sarah Polley was really good. Ving Rhames, Jake Weber, Mekhi Phifer, Ty Burrell, Michael Kelly, Kevin Zegers, Lindy Booth. There's a lot of these people that were either working pretty heavily at the time or work pretty frequently now.
Yeah, right after.
Yeah, it was a rockin' cast. And it was
Matt
much
Frewer.
bigger too, like a much bigger group of characters.
That's true.
In this one, a lot more stories to tell at a
Matt
much faster
Frewer,
pace.
though, was one of the breakouts. He's the one who plays Nicole's dad.
Oh,
Yeah.
And Matt Frewer is a fucking chameleon. That man is amazing.
yeah, real talk.
I mean, he played Max Headroom. He was on Eureka. He was Trash Can Man in The Stand. I mean, like, we continue to talk about undercelebrated people and actors and movies, and he is undercelebrated.
Yeah, I hope that dude is doing well. I'd love to put that guy in a movie someday.
Let's see what he's up to.
He's such a really, really fantastic actor.
He's so good. Oh, he was on the new Perry Mason series, at least in 2020. It looked like. He was the binder on The Magicians. But yeah, it looks like he was on Fear the Walking Dead in 2019.
Yeah.
So he's been doing stuff. Oh shit, TJ, he's in Castlevania.
Oh yeah.
The Bishop.
Yep.
But yeah, needs to be working more, 100%.
Speaking of the Castlevania, if you haven't watched Castlevania on Netflix, get on that shit. Binge the series tonight.
Get down.
Agreed.
Don't go to bed. Just fucking watch the whole thing.
And then try to play any of the games. Good luck.
Godspeed. But yeah, so like I said, they're much bigger cast this time around, which I think was interesting. I liked that. I didn't, it's a very different movie at the end of the day. They both take place in a mall, but there's not as much emphasis on the social impact that the original had. Like,
that was on purpose.
There's a couple moments in there that you can point to, but it wasn't as heavy-handed as it was with the original. And I think when you remove that element, you need more character, because the environment that they were in, the time that they were in 78, became a character in and of itself. And when you take that out of the story, you're left with, well, what do we populate the world with? And I think they made a very good choice by populating it with average people who were like, the turn to 11 version of that average person. Like Ty Burrell's like assy stockbroker, boat owner, like old trucker lady. Like, you had these like archetypal characters, but they felt very real in a world that was on fire. Because in this movie, I always used to say, like, in the original version, death is coming and there's no escape. Like, eventually you will die and you will become a zombie. That is the way of the world now. In the remake, I said death is coming and you're fucked, because it's just such a kinetic world that they've built, that Snyder built, which is why I loved it. Like, I loved that movie because it was a different kind of scary for me from a world where zombies really were more of a curiosity. Like, yeah, like I don't want to be eaten alive by like fucking 20 dudes, but the reality is like, I'll take slow zombies over fast zombies any day, because fast zombies are fucking horrifying.
Oh yeah.
Like, he created a very scary monster with the fast zombies in Dawn of the Dead. And you gotta respect that, man. Like, kudos to those guys.
Yeah.
For
The lack of, not lack of social commentary, but the lack of social commentary on the original was intentional. So one of the producers got the rights to Dawn of the Dead, which I don't know how he got, but kudos to him.
that. Yeah. Universal money.
I think he got it before then.
Oh,
but whatever. He approached James Gunn and had been approaching James Gunn for years to write something for him. And James is always like, nah, I don't want to. And then he was like, yo, I found you again. I have Dawn of the Dead's rights. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm writing that for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm in.
But
smart move.
Apparently the way it had to go was initially Gunn had to go pitch his idea to Universal. And Gunn's like, I'm not writing this if I have to go pitch it. He's just like, I'm not writing myself into a corner in this pitch meeting. Like, and this scene happens, and then I have to write a stupid scene that I don't like, because he hadn't like written the script yet. He hadn't written it on spec, basically. And somehow the producer and Gunn convinced Universal that he didn't have to give them basically a treatment before they greenlit it, and they did. And then Gunn wrote it for however long and then gave it to him, and they're like, why isn't there any like social commentary? And apparently Gunn was like, because it's been done, and it's been done to perfection. And he's like, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give a character story, which happened, but not to the extent that I'm trying to do here. And I think that truly is a difference. Like there's some social commentary in Gunn Snyder's version.
The Gunn Snyder cut.
It's way more about character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an ensemble
that's
piece.
why there's more characters.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting, and I agree. Like, why would you try to do a consumerism story again? Like, it fucking was done.
Yeah.
Again, to perfection.
It's an ensemble, right? And I think that what Gunn does really well is write for the current audience.
Yeah.
I don't think that the current audience or the current audience in 2004 would have accepted a slower moving movie like Dawn of the Dead.
No.
78. They want action. The attention spans are minuscule compared to previous days. And you have an audience who wants to get to the meat of the story immediately. So I think that it worked out perfectly for the time in that it gave homage to the original. There were some parallels, but it made it its own without being disrespectful to the original. I just spit everywhere, and then you have like cameos by Ken Foray, and you have, Tom Savini and Scott Reiniger. There's a really cool, I didn't see it, but I saw on the internet, there is a store apparently named Galen Ross in the
there is, I saw that
in the mall, and that's the name of Fran. That's the name of the actor who played Fran. So there are these really nice, not heavy-handed nods to the original. Where do we go? We're all done.
And that's the show, everybody. Thanks for coming. No, I was gonna say the character stuff here is really interesting, because you really don't know who's gonna stand out, because they're all like you get that Sarah Polley's probably gonna make it to the end of the movie. You get that Ving Rhames probably gonna make it to the end of the movie. But I liked the fact that there were so many other characters that you weren't sure of, because again, it wasn't really a remake. It was a brand new zombie movie that took place in a mall that happened to have the name Dawn of the Dead. And that's where the two movies end. Like that's where they continue to converge. But I think one of the things that they did best in this movie, that Romero's movies did really well, which was drop us into the center of the storm very quickly, was that whole opening sequence in the movie. Like after Sarah Polley gets out of the hospital and you're kind of lulled into this because like it starts out and it's in such a big way. Like you look at night and it's very contained, and you look at dawn and it's very contained, and day is very contained. So I went into this expecting something very similar, like, oh, are they going to start this in the hospital? Thinking like, because that's how I was like, well, it's going to start immediately, right? We're not going to get exposition. And then I started to get exposition, and I was like, oh, I guess we're going to get exposition, and that's something we'll do. But then you get punched in the face, like the switch flips so fast, and then it's like a peaceful opening to a fucking thrash metal song.
Yeah.
Like it's you're just like like for 90 minutes
Yep.
you're just screaming into the microphone with like a quick bridge where you're peaceful again, and then fucking shredding. Like it's an action movie. You know, it's
It
it's
is.
it's crazy violent, and the zombies are really, like I said earlier, really scary because they're just gnashing, and like it's almost like the virus wants to spread. You know what I mean? Like all viruses do. Like all viruses want to spread. You know, Dawn, they're clumsy, and they're like OG Dawn, and they're like you saw, like, you know, what is it, fucking Steven grappled with that one dude for like 10 minutes before anything happened to him. Like
10 minutes.
you get if you get a zombie from Snyder's Dawn on you, odds are like better than 80% you're gonna get bit. Like
Or
they're
scratch.
so fast. Yeah, scratch bit. So fast and so violent and aggressive. They're the complete polar opposite of Romero zombies. They're so crazy aggressive. It just creates this environment of like, I'm not safe at all. Like with the Romero zombies, like you said, you walk by them, jog by them if you had to. You just can't get hooked. This one, you're like, you're not outrunning an animal that doesn't feel pain, that doesn't have fucking calcium building up in their muscles as they're running and getting exhausted. This thing doesn't breathe. It doesn't
feel
get
fear.
winded. It's not afraid of anything. It's pure maximum human ability, completely fine-tuned and defined into killing everything around it. And you get that in that opening sequence when her husband just rage punches the fucking windshield, and then barefoot, that dude was barefoot, that actor, sprinting down the street as fast as he can, and then the second there's another piece of meat, he just breaks off and goes after it. Like it
There's a
was
singular goal.
Oh, and it's to fucking shred everything around it. God damn, those zombies are scary in this movie. And like speaking of the effects, like I love the fact that they used some actual amputees in this, like performers who had amputated limbs, because that's like one, great to get them in there and working, but two, it just adds this awesome level. Like the dude in the garage, that was climbing on the pipes, like that whole scene.
Oh yeah.
It just added some really great moments.
I can get into that to a second, but
Yeah, do it, Glenn. Get into it.
what I was going to say to what you're saying is like what's crazy if you actually look at this is like, granted, Ramiro didn't really have anything to do with this one, but like of the significant Ramiro zombie movies, which I will include this in, because it had the original producer producing this remake, so it has some tangibility to Ramiro, basically. Like in a weird way, Ramiro kind of like ushered in all of these waves of horror. Like I said, with Night ushered in what I consider like the death of like universal horror into like modern horror movies.
Mm.
And I could be taking that wrong, but I'm not, because I'm taking my own take here. And like it got rid of the bloodless horror movie and ushered in like 1969 and on horror movies, so like where there would be blood and craziness. And then like Dawn took it to the next step where there's fucking exploding heads, and you see like viscera blowing out of heads, and like that step went into the 70s, the late 70s, early 80s, and then Day again tried to obliterate it, which it did, and then this, I truly attribute Dawn the remake, Snyder Gunn's version, to like true modern late aughts horror. Like basically right after this we got your Saws, we got your, not that I love torture porn, but like we got like extreme levels of gore. Like we're probably not going to go further than this.
There was a bit of a resurgence. Is that what you're?
Yeah, like it basically, like gore kept escalating through
It
all of
ushered
these
in
like
the
Romero's things, and you can like basically be like, oh, this Romero movie came out, and it's like, oh shit, this is when we transition to this next step.
Right.
Like Night was like, oh, we got rid of Bloodless, and now we can do some blood. Dawn was like, oh, we can start doing some gore effects.
Dawn was like,
Day
no.
was like, we can start doing realistic gore effects. Dawn, the remake, even though it wasn't technically him, is like, oh, we're gonna do the extreme of gore, basically.
Yeah,
and we
push
haven't
hard
really
in the envelope.
exceeded what was spawned from Dawn 04.
Well,
and I'm glad we have. I mean, we have, but not really.
Well, I think it's interesting because you see now, like horror now, like there was a time where we got a Saw movie every Halloween. Like every year we got a new Saw movie. We would get Nightmare on Elm Streets every year or two, Friday the 13th every year or two. Like we would go mass stretches where studios would rip out all the content they could to exploit the popularity of a project. Romero's shit was like 68, 78, 85. Fucking Land of the Dead was what, in the 2000s?
You know, like 05 or something. I think it was like, after this.
Like Romero told a MCU of his own, the RCU, the Romero Cinematic Universe, over 5 fucking decades. Yeah. More, maybe more. 60s, 70s, 80s, 2000s. When did fucking Survival of the Dead come out? Diary of the Dead come out? Like,
I'll find out.
Like this dude told the same world, a narrative story over decades of a career. I think that's I think that's so cool.
Yeah,
like that he had that time, and that's why you saw such a dramatic jump from Night of the Living Dead to Dawn of the Dead to Day of the Dead's hyper realistic gore.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like it's crazy. Like, and I'm not saying he is the first, but he really was like the watershed moment in all of these like evolutions of gore and horror. And like obviously he didn't really have anything to do with the 04 version, but like 04 is tangentially like connected to him because it does have his producer and his blessing, kind of.
Yeah.
That like it really kind of gave us the Saws and the Centipedes of the world.
Well, I remember reading a thing about how he wasn't originally stoked on it, but after seeing it, he gave it props and was like, yeah, all right, respect, you know.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a minute because like Gunn got the same thing from Online Hate. But D, you've been waiting to say something a long time as I've been rambling on.
I'd forgotten what I was going to say. I have a question for you guys.
Ooh, all right.
Hit me.
One more time.
Can't
do that.
Someone gets scratched. And no one is told. So there's always that question.
No.
If you were bitten or scratched, would you keep it a secret? I mean, nobody wants to get, taken out and killed, but would you put the party at risk personally if that happened to you?
Depends on the party.
Good answer.
Oh, that's a great answer, Glenn. I'm never going to top that.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm quick.
Yeah, I mean, I would have a very, I guess similarly.
If I'm here, no, never telling anyone.
Yeah, similar in logic, I guess. My response would be to like wait out the scientific method. Like, at this point, if I'm withholding information, it's because I have information, because I know that the bite will eventually turn me into a zombie. I guess it would depend on the amount of damage. Like if a zombie took a chunk out of my forearm, I'm pretty much toast. But like, you know, in this movie, Lula's, you know, pretty superficial wound. You know, or Luda,
Luda. Yeah,
Mekhi
you're not
Phifer's
100%
Russian wife.
sure.
Yeah, like I would probably wait it out until I started to experience symptoms,
Mhm.
and then I would inevitably leave the group.
True. At some point, she's starting to look real raggedy.
Yeah, like, you know, like at some point, you know, like come on, like at some point, you know, you're gonna die.
Mhm.
Like that's just a fucking fact of life. Yo, Matt Olson,
Flying
what's
stylist,
up?
everybody. Matt is in chat. That's Flying Stylist. TJ, you gotta pull it up.
Matt did the art for I'm gonna throw it up here
Matt
on the
Olson is
screen.
our
Boom.
phenomenal artist.
Matt did the base art for all that. I
Emotes.
like he did all the channel emotes. Right here, flying stylus
Sexy emotes we
in
have.
chat crushed all
Dope
these
ass
fucking all
emotes.
this design for us.
Boom. Boom.
Matt's the best. He's you know, go
Mildly
go
talented.
go
Yeah.
follow
Yeah.
all the stuff on all the stuff. But yeah, you know, it's one of those movies that I think will stand the test of zombie time. You know, like and that's the thing about night, dawn, and day is you can still watch them today and they're still as good.
Yeah.
Like they've not lost a step. Like you understand what you're watching and there is some, you know, separation there, but like ultimately I think the remake of Dawn of the Dead does something very similar for people who really just love the genre. You know, it doesn't have to be a remake. It is because of the name, but really what it is a reinvention of the modern zombie. Subscription. Yo, thanks for the sub there, Austonian Knight. Appreciate that.
Woot.
Thanks for the gift sub, my friend. Always appreciated, never expected, as Eric Artell would say. Thank you so much. And if you're
I'm
new
not gonna
here
lie, like my
tonight,
joke answer is actually accurate. It depends on the party.
No, well, I mean, did you see Matt's response?
I
Matt
did,
said,
yeah.
if it was my family, yes. If I didn't know anybody, no. And I'm like, excellent point.
yeah.
It depends on what part of my family. Again,
Oh, I would train to Busan that shit, man. That'd be me all fucking day. That was one of the best zombie movies I've ever seen, with one of the best
oh my
endings
God,
I've
Train
ever
to
seen.
Busan. We're gonna
Fucking
have to do that.
Niagara Falls, Frankie
So
Angel.
fucking good.
So good. Fucking Train to Busan was. But yeah, man, you know, I think that's a great question, D. What about you? Would you let people know?
You know, I like this idea of if it's your family, yes, and then
Family.
feeling it out if you don't know the people, because let's be honest, if this was, it's not like the rules we've set forth about zombies in movies, they're not founded on any scientific evidence. So I think it would depend on what we know and how things progress, and whether or not it's like a a for sure thing that we know that if you are bitten, you are turned. I think it would definitely depend on all those situations, all the words are hard. It would depend on the situation, and and yeah, that's it. I got nothing else. It's gone.
That's okay.
Whatever was in
Hey,
my head
you
is
did
gone.
great.
I'll still stand by it. Like it depends on what fucking party it is.
Yo, thanks, Austonian Knight. Hey, Matt, now you can use your emotes.
Thank you, Austonians. You got to sing it now.
Subscription.
Works. I like that.
Yeah, man. Thanks. That's great. Yeah, so you know, this movie also had a fantastic soundtrack in a very different way. Because Zack Snyder, you know, I think he did a pretty great job. Like I said, the Richard Cheese version of Down with the Sickness
It's
was so brilliant.
mind blowing. I think that I want to say TJ and I like looked at each other. We were like, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
What?
I
Like
love a good remake on a song, man. I
You
love
do.
a
Yeah.
reimagining, even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
remix. I'm all day with that shit.
so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. His version of Down with the Sickness isn't. I guess it's a cover, but like not really.
No, it's a complete reimagining. It's the same lyrics and the same melody, but a complete.
It's like when a
different
fucking
arrangement.
death metal band takes "Hey Jude" and goes like, "Ah!" Like
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah,
It's not even a.
It's
not
bad.
even a
It's
remake.
Bad Wolves Zombies, or
Yes.
zombie.
It's what the kids do on American Idol and The Voice nowadays when they
yeah.
like turn something on its head. It's what an artist does.
Yes, an artist. You see.
An artist.
Who was y'all's favorite character in the movie? If you had to pick one.
Ooh,
Andy.
Andy's good.
Andy. Which one was Andy?
The guy, the gun
Sharpshooter.
owner.
Oh yeah,
Constantly.
Andy's really good.
I mean, that's kind of a joke, but it is kind of true.
I mean, he's great. Like what an amazing character and what an amazing performance. For someone who was working
Wordless.
off of a fucking whiteboard. Bruce Bone.
He had like what,
Bohne.
two actual lines in the movie?
Yeah, they were
Over
fucking
walkie?
voiceover over walkie.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
he's good.
I mean, that was kind of a joke answer, but I actually I kind of like Andy.
Take Andy, Glenn. There's no one's
Yeah,
gonna
I'll take
one's
Andy.
gonna yell at you for that.
I
Denise,
like
are you
Michael.
also team Andy?
I love Andy. I like
Everyone
Michael,
loves
but
Andy.
honestly, my favorite would be Frank,
Frank.
Nicole's father.
Yeah, that's tough. Matthew Furr is really
so
good.
He's so good. Well, I mean, like you were saying, TJ, when we were watching it, you're like, and here we go. Here comes the best acting in 2 minutes. Like,
Yeah, this dude fucking swings for
True.
the fences and hits it out of the park.
I just realized the irony of me picking the dude who like doesn't talk.
But again, still an amazing performance.
still an actor.
And I think did you say Michael originally?
I like Michael, but no, if like favorite,
All in
I mean-
Frank.
yeah, I'm gonna go. I mean, favorite. That's more like favorite actor because I just love that guy so much.
Yeah, he's really good. I think my favorite journey is CJ. I think CJ is a really great
Sure.
character.
Oh, CJ's fabulous.
He's so much fun to watch and like such a deeply layered character. Like an
For
onion.
arcs, yeah.
What an
It's-
art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like really,
Yeah.
really, really great. And I really,
That's-
really love oh God, what's her name?
Nicole.
No, the old woman. What's her name? Not
Shit, what is her
Vivian.
name?
If we're going, while you look that up, if we're going one-liners, like I hate to say it, but fucking Ving.
Ving Rhames.
Yes, Ving Rhames. Yes,
Yes, that
his one-liners and like just telling everybody to shut the fuck up and
Yeah.
stop being stupid.
Yeah, he's got
Norma.
some ass kicking. Norma, yeah, Jane Eastwood. I think she's related to Clint Eastwood.
Is she?
I don't know.
Probably.
Michael Kelly is who played CJ.
She's from Canada. I don't
He's a
think so.
great actor. He's really good in House of Cards.
Andy, Astonian on Team Andy. Yeah, Andy's great, man. What an awesome character and what a great opportunity for an actor to get to steal the show with little to no lines.
Yeah.
You know, you
Favorite
feel 'em.
character, the baby.
Oh yeah, and let's talk about the zombie baby for a second because there's only been a couple times when babies get brought into horror in such a way. I can't remember if it was Feast 2 or 3. So there's a baby involved and someone literally like they're running away from the monsters in the street and someone literally snatches the baby out of like the mom's hand and just throws it up in the air like 20 feet. And you get this crazy overhead shot where like the baby comes into frame like goo goo gaga before falling down and getting consumed by these monsters. I can't remember what zombie movie it was, but I once watched a zombie movie where a dude punched through a pregnant stomach and ripped out the fetus and ate it. I don't remember what movie
It was
that
that high school one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a high school party when it happened.
The best horror movie baby outside of It's Alive, the original, and the only, the first one, not the next two, is Dead Alive.
Yep, that baby's fucking rowdy.
Yeah, it is.
That's
It gets down
baby.
and fucks people up.
Yeah. Oh God, what a gross prosthetic and all that.
We need to watch Dead Alive.
We will do Dead Alive.
Oh, we will. It's
Absolutely.
on the list.
But this baby was very interesting,
and away. God damn it.
And I think what a bold move. And it feels like, Glenn, I think you said this when we were watching, like it feels very much like a James Gunn signature. That whole scene with the pregnancy, the zombie pregnancy, and the zombie baby, and
just to get to the
like,
there's a couple moments where you're like, oh yeah, this was written by a dude who worked for Trauma.
Yeah, well, you know, like the joke amongst the kids these days, like the hey, can I be your stepbrother joke because of porn. James Gunn had that was playing that joke long before when he wrote Romeo and Juliet. Because that movie has some incest themes that are very heavy-handed. And so it's not surprising that you get a scene where a dead zombie, an undead woman, an undead Russian woman has a zombie baby who I think is beautiful, like a beautiful eyes, very cute baby. I don't know if I would have shot that baby in the head. You know, I'd have probably gotten a pen for it, let it crawl around. It's never developing teeth. It's not going to grow. It doesn't have nails. It's the most harmless thing that's ever been in existence. It can't hurt you. It's just going to live forever. Or maybe it like decomposes, but like you've got it for like,
you don't like cry a lot.
Yeah, but maybe not. Like give it like a finger to suck on
hungry.
Or something, you know? Like give it a like cut off a finger and you stick it in there, you know?
I'll give you some interesting insight on that. So like
I also love Trauma.
Yeah. That was a real baby they used for that. They cast it and it got paid more than everyone else on set that day. That's how babies work. It only has to work a couple hours a day because it's an infant. But anyways,
that's why it looks like Mekhi Phifer's holding a fucking eggplant or something in that fucking
because he is
tiny little blanket. It looks like he's just holding the blanket, like they like put a small balloon in there and
they put a whistling Nerf ball in there first. So here you go.
Vortex.
They did cast a real baby. That is a real baby that you see in the close up. Because it was so young, they couldn't use like real prosthetic effects or gore or anything on it. They used everything that you see on its face that's like makeup that clearly isn't a newborn baby is all food based. And they had to ask the mother who brought it on set, like it was the whatever you want to call it, the person, the baby's liaison or whatever, huh?
Is it the guardian?
Yeah, it was the real mom.
The baby's agent.
Yeah, right.
I picture the baby being like the baby in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Well, there would have to be a parent and a nurse.
Smoking a cigar and
right. It was the mom. Like they had to ask the mom / cash checker who had to sign off like if the baby is like allergic to anything, and everything that you see on it that's makeup wise or it looks like makeup was all food based. It's like strawberry jam, yogurt.
Mm-hmm. They use strawberry jam for newborn babies.
They do.
In general, yeah.
And they still do, and it's usually strawberry jam and cream cheese because it looks fucking disgusting.
Yeah. I worked on Parenthood when
delicious on bagels.
Monica had her baby. I think that was
yeah,
a long time ago.
I don't say weird things about tasting babies when I eat bagels with that on it.
Yeah, clip that. Where's this when you need them?
Yep. Cancel me. Anyways.
Glenn Akers was found guilty of Spreading
People are like,
babies
who?
on bagels.
Why does his
Story
name,
at
like,
11.
why does it rhyme with a terrible old song? So the way they did the eyes is like they were initially gonna try to put like crazy contacts on it, like they did the adults, and they're like, this literally is a
What?
couple week old baby. Yeah.
Who the fuck thought that was gonna fly?
No, that's what, like, that was the initial thought. It was like, how are we gonna make their eyes crazy? Because like the whole gag in the script is like it opens its eyes and goes like the whole gag is the eyes. And they're like, we can't put contacts in the baby. Like we could, but like it would be insanely expensive. Insurance wouldn't do it. Like we'd have to make contacts. You have to put a thing in it, like an infant's eyes. Like it can't happen. And then they're like, then like, do we just like paint the baby's eyelid green and comp it in? That'll look like garbage. And apparently what they did is the effects people just built prosthetic eyes and they put them on sticks, shot them on like a black or a green screen, so they like mildly glow. So like what you see in is actually comped in like glass marble eyes that they built, and like the poor effects people had to like comp it in and make it not look like shit. And they did an amazing job of that, especially in 04.
Yeah, it's a solid looking zombie baby, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just shocked we didn't get any zombie baby dolls, action figures, and everything you could buy.
Didn't we?
At the Universal on the City Walk.
Many reasons, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I think with both movies, you find the characters making some hindsighty mistakes that we as the audience get to call out.
Sure.
But
Leather
this movie
all around.
Yeah, these guys are rocking sleeveless.
Fucking
Again,
get
like
in a scuba suit, people.
in a world where fucking zombies are this aggressive, bro. Layer up, dog.
Yeah. Like in Dawn of the Dead Romero, like whatever, you'll be fine as long as you like look over your shoulder at all times.
Yeah.
But in this
you get a triangle formation, like back to back to back. Like you're clearing rooms.
Like I said in this one, like I guarantee this mall in 04 or 03 or whatever it's supposed to be, they had a Wilson's leather store. Like put on a fucking leather jacket.
Oh, Wilson's.
I think that was their slogan.
We're zombie proof.
Oh, Wilson's.
Oh, Wilson's. Like put on leather jackets. Like don't go sleeveless.
Yeah. No.
Also,
so you can look like you're in your character.
Right. Unless it's the week and a half that it's blazing hot in Wisconsin. Don't at me, people from Wisconsin. Like put on a fucking leather jacket. Come on.
Go ahead and go to the local department store and get you a couple of belts and wrap your fucking forearms in leather belts. Just like a couple leather belts, just interwoven with the buckles on the outside. Make yourself some fucking armor, man. Come on, it's the end days. Get your shit together. All you need is the human fucking mouth, regardless of how hard it can only put down so much pressure. It's not a pit bull. You know what I mean? Like eventually it's gonna break. In a leather belt, it doesn't matter how hard you're biting. A human being isn't going through a leather belt.
Right. At the very least, put on long sleeves. I get it, you worked out, but fuck you.
Yeah, Austinionite gets it. Fucking leather gauntlet.
At the very least, put on some flannel. Come on.
Yeah, or like a chef's outfit. I'm kidding.
Anyways,
I'm kidding.
how we would do this.
Yeah, how we would survive the zombie apocalypse. Maybe we'll do on our brand new show, Random Encounter. Dun dun dun. Maybe we'll do a blood and popcorn themed Outbreak Undead. Glenn, you'll have to play in that. It's a zombie RPG. It's great. Ivan Van Norman put it together.
Ooh.
It was the game we did on World
I've heard of him.
Yeah. Ooh.
He's a real piece of work, though.
He's a real piece of work.
One of the worst people.
Sean Becker always used to call himself a real piece of shit. And that's where his wrestling name came, POS.
Oh my God.
But
Becker or
Becker, yeah. Becker would call himself a real piece of shit.
I mean, that is accurate.
He is a piece of shit. No, he's the best. But anyway, back to Zack Snyder, who's a real piece of shit. No, who's not. Who did a great job here on Dawn of the Dead. We're probably going to start wrapping it up soon because we've been on the air for quite some time. But let's go ahead and get some final thoughts here from you both on the 2004 Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead remake. Denise, final thoughts?
Huge fan. I think it's a fantastic remake that, pays a little service to the original, but creates its own place in movie and horror movie history. I loved it. I don't think that any of the fears really came to that people were worried about really came to light. I think it was a beautiful marriage of the writing and the directing, and obviously everybody else who worked on the film. But 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs way up.
I will own more.
I bought it again. Like
I bought it again.
You rented it on the Apple TV. I own it on DVD. I bought it on Amazon to watch it while we all watched it.
We support.
That's right. We're spending money on these movies, folks. Glenn.
Actual money.
Final thoughts.
Speaking of, I bought it on Blu-ray because I live in the past, and I like physical things that won't go away when rights change hands like they always do.
I mean, it's honestly, it's a good idea. I'm getting back to physical media because
I am too.
I mean, streaming is great and all, but it disappears. And if you download something from iTunes, what happens if iTunes goes away? You don't out all that.
Not even that. You don't own it. I don't want to rag on streaming, but when you buy something digitally from iTunes, Amazon,
it's a long-term lease.
Whatever it is, it says in their contracts that you own it as long as they get the rights, and rights issues change all the fucking time.
All the time.
You do not own it unless you physically own it.
Wow.
I'm never buying a fucking streaming movie again. I'm going physical media from here on out.
I've had it happen to me before, and I'm very pissed off about it. I will only buy digital movies if I have to, because there's no other way. I won't go into the other part of that.
The gray market.
Anyway,
gray market Glenn, they call them.
And they do, but
gray market?
DM me on Twitter. Anyways, Dawn of the Dead 04. I, like I said earlier, reticently went and saw it in theaters, wanted to hate it like I wanted to hate Audioslave at the time, because it was taking things that I loved originally and was remixing it, and I wanted to take a big shit on it, and I couldn't on either of them.
You were constipated because of the good movie.
Yeah.
No,
it's plugged just up with good movie.
They sprayed themselves in Scotch Guard and it just slid off, and ran down into asylum.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Sorry, too much about scat. No, I love it. Obviously, it's super well written. It's James Gunn before he was rock and roll James Gunn. That's actually a quote if you watch the behind the scenes features, which is true. If you want like to think about and like, I don't even know how to put this, like to think about and like whatever. If you want to contemplate the zombie apocalypse, watch the original. If you want to have more fun and scares and gross out, watch the remake.
Good,
They
well
both
put.
have their place. Like, more than likely, I will watch the remake more often than not because it's more fun, it's more replayable.
Yeah.
But
It's more of a popcorn movie.
it
Yes.
is. It's more of a popcorn movie, and that's not a bad thing because popcorn movies definitely have their place, and I love them to death. That's mostly what I watch. If you
That
want
and
to
Tetsuo.
have right, if you want to have a more
Yeah, you know
serious-
it's a good popcorn movie? Tokyo Gore Police.
God. I mean, it is. Sure. If you want to have more like a serious thought about humanity and whatever, go watch the original. Also watch the original. Also buy them. Fuck. Or rent them, especially from local places if you can. I'm going to keep saying that on every show from here on out. I made a lot of not sense right there. So TJ,
You did great,
What are
buddy.
your closing thoughts?
Yeah, you know, this is a really fun movie. If your idea of fun is people dying en masse, then
It is.
yeah, it's a
if you ever
really
lived
fun
in LA,
movie.
you get it.
Oh yeah, 100% get it.
Oh my God.
But yeah, like you know, like I said, like this movie's a great lesson in that every once in a while, you can be surprised in this genre. And I
True.
think, you know, we see a lot today. And as horror fans, you know, you cycle through a lot of the shit that's out there today. And, you know, I don't know, you can almost spot it from the cover art. But this movie does the service of reminding us that even when you think something might be bad and every instinct in your body in this genre is fighting against it, that you can be extremely pleasantly surprised. And this movie does that 10 times over for me. I love this movie so much. I hope to infuse many of its elements into my own zombie endeavors in the future. And it's the only Zack Snyder movie I like.
Whoa.
Really like I'm not a Zack Snyder guy. Like I'm not a fan. I haven't seen the DC movies because I can't watch them. Like I start them and I shut them off because I literally can't watch them. Did he do 300? Was that Zack Snyder?
He did.
All right,
300
I like
good.
300. I like 300 and I like Dawn of the Dead, and they're the only two Zack Snyder movies I like. Respect to the dude, because obviously he's out there fucking crushing it career-wise, and he makes movies that a lot of people really enjoy. Dawn of the Dead
people
was
hate him,
one, yeah, but Dawn of the Dead was one that I really enjoyed. So I'd say go out and buy it, like we always say here in the last two episodes. I think we'll be saying a lot more often. Go support physical media. If you have a local video store, go support that shit. Pay a premium for your fucking videos, because man, it's a dying medium, and we need to get back to basics on that.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, for sure,
Agreed.
Matt.
Yep.
For sure. But thanks Austonianite, and thanks to everybody else who supports the channel and supports our silly little shows here as we hang out. And we're just a
Ramble for
bunch of
3 hours
friends
about movies.
hanging out, drinking beers, drinking scotch, talking about horror movies. It's the shit we love, and we're so stoked that y'all come out and get to hang out with us for this stuff. So
Yes,
thank
thank
you
you.
very much for that. Don't forget, we're on our own now, so we're gonna start putting some new stuff out towards the end of the month. We're going to be doing some international stream times. We're going to be doing some Friday morning streams for our friends over in Australia, who we're actually going to go check out after this. We're going to go raid our friends at Indigitech, who's an Australian channel, and watch them play some D&D. And we're also going to do some UK streams as well for some of our friends out there who are on such a time shift they don't get to check out our stuff. So really excited for all this stuff coming out on the channel. And
Get the best Blu-rays in the UK, but whatever.
best Blu-rays. Glenn's gonna do a whole show on UK Blu-ray, the UK Blu-ray market, called
Don't fucking tempt me.
the Glenn market. It's gonna be called, and I'm developing the show right now, Glenn. But before that comes out, don't forget bonus round. It's either gonna be like Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Sunday sometime.
Something like that.
It's like whenever any of us feel like getting on to do it. Wednesday night, 7:30 though. We've got Denise here, the Demogorgon herself, playing Dead by Daylight. our Dead by Daylight show. Obviously, you're watching Blood and Popcorn right now. Again, special thanks to Matt Olson, who made this fucking awesome art. Matt Olson is in my head. He's taken up permanent residence in the apartment in my brain. I'm working with him on some stuff right now, and I'm so excited for that. I can't wait to show you
Wish I had
guys.
talent like this motherfucker.
Oh, dude, what a monster! Like I threw him some like sample photos for this, and was like, "So here's what I'm thinking." He sends me this back, and I cried. It was so good. And then tomorrow night, Davis and I are back. We're going to be doing, I think we're doing another advice show. Cursed to give advice on D&D for tomorrow night's episode for this show is Cursed. And coming soon, hopefully early August, Random Encounter, our brand new tabletop gaming show, going to be coming everything from tabletop RPGs of all different creeds and breeds, and also some other proper tabletop games. Guys, another Blood and Popcorn in the bag as we march ever so, as we shamble our way through July of the Living Dead. What a fun night we've had. Dawn of the Dead. Wow, what a fucking awesome couple of movies to talk about.
Which means that next week is Day.
Yeah, well, what comes after the Dawn?
The Day.
Not the Justice, because no. But the Day of the Dead will be fantastic for one half, and then the second half.
It's going to be a different conversation than
It's going to be a different conversation. A reminder to everybody at home, we love all horror movies, and we think that they all have their place on the sacred timeline. But sometimes...
Except for maybe Leprechaun 2.
Oh, fuck Leprechaun 2. Dude, have you, just real quick before we go, has anyone seen the poster art and the teaser for the new Chucky series, the Child's Play series, coming out on Sci-Fi? Yeah, like from the original team, they're doing a television series around Child's Play, and it's OG Chucky. Yo, dude, it looks great. Like, look that up. Go check it out. Oh, it looks fucking rad. Yeah, go do that. And then, you know, if you haven't yet, come on. If you're so inclined, check out the Discord. We hang out over there. Like, we're always talking about stuff. It's a small but mighty community. Our socials are below. I put it in here earlier. I'm going to put it in here one more time. But while I do, Denise, Glenn, tell the folks at home where they can find you on the internet.
You can find me on the internet at Denise Pantoja on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, where I will be. Yes, I will definitely, whether I'm tired or not, I'm going to be back playing Resident Evil tomorrow on my show called Resident Devil. It's probably going to be around 11 p.m. Eastern, a little later. You can also find me on TikTok at the Demogorgon. And also don't forget to follow Blood and Popcorn on Twitter and Instagram. We've got that stuff going on too.
Hell yeah.
A little more active there. And be talking about, I think I'm going to start putting out some of these interesting little tidbits that we, little BTS stuff that we cover during the show. So just in case, you know, you miss anything, you have these fun little things to look forward to after we have the show.
Ooh, I love that. That's a good idea. You can watch me at watch me, Jesus. Follow me.
Glenn's going to start doing Instagram lives.
He is not. No, he is not. You can follow me on Odd Movie Master at Twitch and Instagram. If you want to follow me, it's just mainly food, and sometimes I travel. Glenn_Akers_.
I'll have to put that back.
Too many of us.
Thing. I deleted it.
You don't have to. It's fine.
We want to promote
nothing
you,
to do
Glenn,
with
and everything you want to do.
Oh boy.
On Instagram, it's just food.
And it's great food. And I'm at TJ Rotell, wherever popular internets are sold. Guys, thank you so much for being here, everybody. Much appreciate you coming out and supporting. Much love.
Yes,
Denise, although this was meant to be like a competition, Glenn is still yet to come up with his
I know, Glenn, you got to come up with your tagline.
So until he does, Glenn, do you have a tagline that you can close the show on tonight? Can you come up with one? Perhaps a Dawn of the Dead themed tagline?
When there's no more room in Twitch, come watch Blood and Popcorn.
Yes. That's it, everybody. That's the show. Take care of yourselves. Hang tight. We're going to go check out some looks like RPG play with our friends over at Indigitech. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow night for this show is Cursed. Good night, everybody. Good night. Oh, aim for the head. Aim for the head. Oh.